Hey friends, it's Sammy here with Blue Feather Homestead. Welcome back to our kitchen. I'm going to try to make this intro real short and sweet, but I have to tell you this story. 4th of July, I went to my aunt's house. They had a huge layout of barbecue meat, smoked meats, barbecue beans, potato salad, anything that you could think of. It was just fantastic. So I grab a side of baked beans. I'm looking in there. There's something in there I don't recognize. Take a bite of it. It's apples, okay? I'm gonna make these baked beans. These aren't just regular baked beans. These are off the hook baked beans. They were fantastic. I talked to the gal who made them, but I never did get the recipe. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it my way, kind of grandma's way, my way, a little bit mixed. So stay tuned and we'll go ahead and get started. I'm gonna tell you guys right off the bat that you can make these apple pie baked beans with simple can of baked beans from the grocery store and a can of apple pie filling, okay? And you just mix those two together, put them in your pan, bake them 350 until they're hot and bubbly and looking good and done, and simple as that. And that's a cheap side dish, guys. This is like, I think $1.50, and this is probably $1.50 at the most, so there's your $3 side dish, and it is delicious. Like I said, I didn't get the recipe. I'm not really sure how she made them. Okay, and then you can also just make them old school with your pork and beans cans and mix them with sugar and mustard and ketchup and things like that. And then after you get all that mixed up, just add this in and bake it. And the same thing, just bake it at 350 probably until it looks, you know, done, good and bubbly. You can make them with Great Northern beans. You can make them with navy beans. That's like old school. You need to soak them, cook your beans like that, and then add your brown sugar, your molasses, and you know, ketchup and mustard, things like that, and then add in your apple pie filling. You can do it that way also. I didn't soak any beans, so we're just going to make it just like I said before, like grandma used to make her beans, and then I'm going to put my mix in because I'm going to put apple pie filling, homemade apple pie filling into the mix as well. We were gifted these beautiful apples, as you can see. I'm going to get these peeled up. So these will be for apple cider vinegar. I put these in my freezer until it's time to make my apple vinegar. This is apple cider vinegar with the mother. So easy to make, guys. I'll link that video down in the description below if you are interested in that. So here's my apples. They're already turning a little bit in color, but that's okay, because they're going to go in the dark, they're going to go in the baked beans anyway, so it's all good. Otherwise, I probably would have some water and some lemon juice, you know, them soaking in there if the color was important to me. So I'm just going to kind of go through and cut these up in like a little bit smaller pieces here before I throw them into my pan. I'm going to start with my homemade ghee. If you're interested in that, super easy to make. This is basically shelf-stable butter. I will also put a link in the description to that video. But this is what I'm going to start out with. Just go ahead and dump those into the pot. Okay, let's sprinkle some regular white table sugar, C&H. A little bit of cinnamon. A little bit of brown sugar. Now brown sugar is going to go into the baked beans also. A little bit of water. They already smell fantastic. No recipe for this one, guys. I'm just winging it. I will put the recipe in the description below for the baked beans though. Okay. I'm going to cover these and let those cook while I'm doing the rest of the other ingredients. Might as well go big. I'm going to go ahead and add some pepper and some onion to this. Just going to dice up some peppers. Oh, this came from the garden. Just absolutely beautiful. Alright, so I've got the onion and the pepper cut up. I've got my scrap bowl here. This is just before, you can put this in the freezer for, you know, your chicken broth for later on, or put it in your compost pile, feed it to your chickens, or what have you. So let's go ahead and throw this into the bacon grease. So this part is totally optional. You do not have to add onions or bell pepper into your beans. Ooh, some jalapenos would probably be really good in that. I'm frying this in bacon grease, and I didn't fry up any bacon, but you know, I have my reserved bacon grease in the fridge, like hopefully everybody else does. If you don't have reserved bacon grease in your fridge, I don't know what to tell you. I'm just going to fry these up just a little bit to soften them and to give it that extra flavor. Okay, while those are frying, let's go ahead and check on our apples and see how they're doing here. Looking really good. While that stuff is cooking in the back, I'm going to go ahead and get my pan ready and get my beans ready. This stuff here, you know, the regular pork and beans does have high fructose corn syrup in it. If you are worried about that, which you really should be worried about that, and I believe the apple pie filling probably does too, it does also. So that's the only thing about cooking with these things. The bush beans here, they don't have high fructose corn syrup in it. These are actually pretty good. So if you wanted to just use these and dump it in your pan and put the apple pie filling, or you know, the cooked apples in it or whatever, you could do that and it'll be really good. I am going to go ahead and use the regular cans of pork and beans. This is how Grandma made them. I'm just using her recipe to make the beans, and then I'm going to put the apple pie filling in there, and the peppers and onions also in there. I have my oven preset at 350, and I'm going to go ahead and spray out my pan. I had to go ahead and taste test my apples over there. I wanted to show you the consistency. I don't know if you can tell. They cut in half really easy. They're not soggy, but they're not like hard, okay? They're kind of in between. They're just perfect. They're going to bake a little bit longer in the beans, so that's how you want to have them, okay? I mixed about a tablespoon and a half of cornstarch to a tablespoon and a half of cold water, and I've just mixed that up. I'm going to pour it in here to thicken up my sauce. Okay, just going to pour it right in there. So do you see how thick that sauce got? Just from throwing in that cornstarch and water. This is apple pie filling right here, guys. I could throw this into a crust and bake it and have apple pie. But we're throwing it into our baked beans. When I say spray your pan out, I'm talking about just grease your pan, okay? With spray or whatever you have. Butter, shortening, whatever. Just grease it up so it won't stick to the sides. It'll be easier to clean later. I'm going to go ahead and start with my beans. This calls for 2 16-ounce pork and beans. I'm not really going to measure things out. Like I said, I will put the recipe in the description below. Go ahead and open these beans up here and pour them in. 1/4 cup of ketchup. It calls for a couple of teaspoons of mustard, regular old mustard. This is how I used to see my grandma do it. She'd just be squirting it in there, mixing it up. Put some brown sugar. I believe it calls for 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. I'm just going to put that in there and mix it up. A little bit of Worcestershire sauce. That's all she wrote. That's all I have. Gonna have to buy some more. Adding in my extras. Try not to get all that grease in there, but you know, it might have a little. Now I'm adding in the wow, wow, wow factor. Oh my goodness. Just gonna mix those in. Now you are going to cook this in your 350 oven for an hour. A whole hour. You could also make this in a cast iron skillet on your stove if you wanted to. You know, just keep it on low and cover it and let it cook that way. But I'm going to go ahead and throw those into the oven. Almost done, guys. Patiently waiting. It is smelling wonderful in here. It's been almost an hour. These were in the oven for an hour, and this is exactly what you want them to look like. They smell so good. We're having barbecue chicken for dinner, baked beans, and another side. But anyway, guys, that's how you do it. It's really simple and delicious. I hope you guys give it a try, and thanks for watching. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.